I'll never forget how when Fire Emblem Three Houses was first revealed all those years ago, and we were getting our first look at the cast of characters, every single Fire Emblem fan looked at Jeralt and knew he was going to die. From people that came into the franchise with Awakening, with FE7, to people that had played them from their Japanese releases, every single one of us bound together in that moment to look at this grown-ass man and know in our heart of hearts he just wasn't gonna make it. And that is so funny because the only reason we had to believe that was because he was a father of the main character. But, sure enough, we were right. Now, just because a death is obvious doesn't mean the death or character that dies is poorly written. For example, when you die because I kill you after you didn't like and subscribe to the video and channel and didn't leave a comment, it's going to be very obvious, but you'll probably still be mourned by your loved ones.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
In all seriousness, Gerald's death is actually one of my favorite, if not outright, my favorite scenes in Three Houses, because how it happens completely recontextualized my thoughts on everything Gerald did. But let's start in the beginning. Gerald's introduced alongside Byleth at the very start of the game, and throughout the game's first 10-ish chapters, he's kind of just hanging around. You don't get to control him, which is also an obvious tell that he's just not gonna make it, but he's still around. He appears in cutscenes, you can talk to him whenever you want, and he even shows up on a few maps to help with his own personal skill, which might give you a slight bit of illusion that he might live, because why would he have a personal skill if he wasn't a playable unit? Why does he have the skill? It's just to lie to you, and make you feel even worse when you thought for a brief moment he would live, but that's neither here nor there. And when Gerald finally kicks the bucket, as we all knew he was going to, he looks at Byleth crying over his body, knowing that they are truly mourning what's about to happen, and he just says a sentence that completely destroys me.
To think that the first time I saw you cry, your tears would be for me. It's sad, and yet I'm happy for it. Thank you, kid.
That notion, the fact that Byleth crying tears for his death makes him somewhat happy, really made it click for me what it must have been like to be Byleth's parent. Because the entire circumstance around Byleth's existence is filled with all kinds of weird shit. Gerald is roughly aware that Rhea is devious in nature, but he doesn't quite know the extent of what she's trying to do. He just knows that she's got some kind of magic mumbo-jumbo, and she shouldn't be trusted around his child. I don't think it's ever stated that he knows his wife was essentially a homunculus, but he does know that something weird is in the Church of Seiros. But when he has his child, I don't know if he ever fully grasped what exactly happened. Because Byleth is not emotionless. They don't show it very much at the start of the game, and that is a side effect of being born from a vessel for a god, but Gerald doesn't exactly know that they still feel emotion, or at the very least, he had his doubts. Because think about it, Byleth is 20 years old at the start of Fire Emblem Three Houses. For 20 years, Gerald has been not quite on the lam, but definitely not settling down anywhere with this child with him at all times. They don't have a normal home family life to go to. They're mercenaries, traveling for work, fighting and killing every day of their lives. As a parent, I can't imagine Gerald was very proud of raising his child like that. And even more, whenever he would try to say or do anything with his child, they wouldn't show any emotion. All he would have to go off of is what they say. No matter what, they would stare back at him with those blank eyes. And I really think that gets to him after a while. Imagine playing peekaboo with your baby, and they don't giggle, they don't gasp or anything, they just stare at you. Imagine cooking dinner for your child, a meal that they say is their favorite. You put the plate in front of them, they eat it, and nothing. Maybe a thank you, and that was tasty. They don't actually show anything. Imagine that, year after year after year. And it really makes Gerald's character and his relationship with his child a lot more interesting to think about. Because sure, I'm positive Byleth spoke their love for their father very frequently, but that doesn't stop Gerald from having doubts. All the way up until his dying breath, he wasn't sure if his child loved him at all. Sure, Gerald didn't exactly have a choice in the matter, but he didn't really give Byleth a normal upbringing. In fact, Byleth is literally known as the Ashen Demon, which that is not a nickname someone with a healthy childhood gets. You do not get that nickname being a Joe Schmo normal person. Not a chance in hell. So, down to his dying breath, he was unsure. But then, as he's bleeding and breathing his last, he sees his child cry. He registers in that moment that his death is going to be sad for Byleth, and it finally clicks for him, yes, his child loved him. They loved him enough to mourn when he died, when they had never mourned anyone before. So yes, knowing that he's causing his child this great pain does hurt him. He is sad that he's dying. He wants to live and be there with his child. But seeing them cry for him gives him a reassurance in his final moments that yes, he did all right. His child loved him. Any doubts he had, all the blank stares, all the fears and insecurities, they were unfounded. Fire Emblem has had a lot of death quotes over the years, and they are a really underrated way to show a character's true personality. For example, Lute losing all of her bravado in Sacred Stones, and her death quote just being a cry that she doesn't want to die. It reminds you that she's just a girl. Beneath all of that cocky exterior, she's a regular human being who's afraid to die, and that says a lot about her. Geralt's final moments show a side of him that the main game never got a chance to show, and I really like it for that. Yes, Geralt's death was seen coming a mile away, but that doesn't make it bad at all. In fact, I have played plenty of JRPGs where I look at a guy and go, this dude is not making it to the halfway point. And when I'm inevitably proven right, that doesn't mean it was badly written. You can still elicit a lot of emotion even if your audience knows how it's going to go. That doesn't mean it's poorly written, it just means I've played so many of these games I can see the tropes with my mind's eye. So, this video was kind of just made to show how much you can glean from one line of dialogue. How much just one little bit can go miles and miles for your character. And honestly, just have an appreciation post for Jeralt. He's one of my favorite deaths in the entire franchise, and honestly, with the likes of Sigurd and Grail, there are a lot of good deaths in this series, and I just think Geralt doesn't get appreciated for how good he does his job. So rest in peace, Geralt the Blade Breaker. Of all the many, many, many dead JRPG parents, you really were one of the best. Thank you all for making it to the end of this video. I've been enjoying doing these unscripted videos a bit more often than usual. I really should be doing videos a lot more, but sometimes after you do a randomizer that crashes on you 37 times, you just want to take a break from it all. Before this video ends, I would like to thank my patrons, which you can join by clicking the link for the Patreon in the description below. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Alex Arliga, Amu is not beating the Tails allegations, Andrew Crockett, Bean Juice, Benzican, Dr. McBackstab, Hell on Heelys, Jespacito 2, Larmachi, Ly17 Bolt, Lindus Mai, Natsume Terumi, Susano the Divine Warrior, Kobo Kaneru, Lambda 11, and Takane Liu in a trench coat, Marth War Criminal, Morga Lorgan, Plaid Arrow, played is pronounced like the pattern, Ranger Man Sams, Shen Lu, Viri the Artist, Yogirl Olwyn, Brentendo 11, Drew Hack, Fire Emblem Lord, Ginger, Gugu Gaga, Cornelia Milkers 92, Inverse, Lev Maverick, Maple Knight, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you all for your continued support, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.